Hello, and welcome once again to the Dental Marketing Mastery Series. This podcast is brought to you by dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Incorporated. I'm Howie Horrocks, the founder of New Patients Incorporated. Along with me once again is my friend and partner and the president of New Patients Incorporated, Mark Dilatush. Well, hello again, everybody. I've got my good buddy Mark Dilatush on the line here. We're going to do another podcast. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, Howie. How are you?
I'm good.
How was your trip to, you went to Washington State, didn't you?
I did. My old stomping grounds. I met up with some old buddies of mine, and we just played golf.
Well, that sounds terrible for you.
Yeah, how bad could it be?
How bad could it be?
Beautiful weather. The only bad part was watching my Seahawks on Sunday look like terrible. But anyway.
Well, somebody has to lose to LA.
Yeah.
I mean, they just moved the football team there and all.
Yeah, exactly.
It cost them like $2 billion, so they should get one win.
Yeah, we're glad to oblige them, I guess.
All right, yeah, there you go. Good.
All right.
So what are we doing today? We are doing insurance transitions, are we not?
Yeah. We get asked that all the time. How do you manage an insurance transition? That's our term. Mostly they want to know how they can ditch these awful insurance PPO plans that they're on, and there is a way to do it. So we're going to talk about that.
Oh, geez, awful insurance plans. That's pretty harsh.
Well, that's their words.
Oh, those are their words? All right.
You and I, when it comes to marketing, or insurance participation, we are Switzerland. We're neutral.
We are. We have to be. I think professionally, we kind of have to be. Because if we take sides, then, the other half is angry at us. So,
no, we don't want to go there.
No. So but actually, being Sweden or Switzerland, or both, is actually accurate, because if you really sit back and you think about what is insurance participation, what exactly is it? It's an agreement that you will provide services that you were going to charge X for. You agree to charge or collect Y. So it's basically a discount program. And in return, the insurance company promises to aggregate the market. In other words, have hundreds or thousands of potential people on this plan and put you on a website and put you in a booklet, if indeed they still print booklets, and distribute those to the employees who have that plan. That's the agreement that you're making. It is very similar to every other advertising agreement you have ever made. That's all it is. It's advertising.
Yep.
You make an agreement to be in the Yellow Pages, right? You make an agreement to be in the local newspaper. You make an agreement, and they're going to promote or distribute your information to the masses that they aggregate. There is no difference. There's no difference between insurance participation and advertising. It is a form of marketing.
Yes, it is.
Pure and simple. Now, here's the other side of it. The other side of it is that Howie and I profess the right. We say that we can successfully and effectively promote a dental practice in an average US or Canadian, Australian, UK market for about 5% of the revenues of the practice. Insurance.
We do.
Go ahead, Howie.
We do. We not only claim that, we've been doing it for many years.
Well, no, yeah, we do it every day. But that's what we're saying. We're saying that it can, not only can it be done, it is being done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so for 5% of your revenues, you can do that. And insurance participation costs you 25 to 30% of your revenues, because you're going to discount your procedures 25 to 30%. So when we go to dentists and say, how expensive is insurance participation, Some dentists say, well, it doesn't cost me anything. And technically, out of pocket, they're right. It doesn't cost them anything. But on the back end, it costs them 5 to 6 times as much. So the question is how do you balance the marketing medium insurance participation with the other marketing mediums that are available to you? And that's the purpose of this podcast, because we have, I'm going to say in the last dozen years or so, easily 100. We've managed easily 100 full insurance transitions out of insurance participation to a mostly or solely fee-for-service model. And when I say managed, that's what we're going to describe to you in this podcast. These are the steps necessary and the what to expect if indeed you are going to contemplate going through an insurance transition. The first thing that you need to consider is where should you? I mean, there's consultants, and I know you're going to remember the consultants that were running around back in the mid 2000s or late 90s who were just saying, get out.
Yeah.
Send in your denial forms now, just, it doesn't matter. You'll be okay.
Yeah. We call it the cold turkey approach.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I can't remember a single solitary dentist who said, boy, that really worked out great.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I can remember a few who said, boy, it was rough and I wish I hadn't done it that way. But
right.
Yeah.
I know some who said they survived.
Yeah. There you go.
Right. Okay. So cold turkey, not the right way to do it. How do I know when it's time for me to make an insurance transition? Because so the first question is, should I do this cold turkey? The answer is no. The next question is, well, how do I know when it's time to do an insurance transition? And all I can do is give you the most common point in your career where insurance transitions make the most sense is when your capacities, hours of operation, numbers of operatory, and numbers of dentists are maxed, and you are not going to expand any of the three. You are not going to expand your office hours. You are not going to add treatment rooms, and you are not going to add dentist hours. When your career reaches that point and you are booked out more than, let's say, 8 days in advance, that is your indicator. You've used insurance participation for what you should have used it for, which was to bring large volumes of patients into your practice so that you can fill capacity. You've reached that objective. Now you want to use the capacity to make more money, to do cooler dentistry, to expand your scope of dentistry, perhaps. Now your career has reached a point where you have more choices. You don't have to just focus on building a practice. You have a practice. Okay. Now you just want to make your practice better, right? Okay. So when you reach that point, now the next question is, how do I transition? We've already covered the question, should I go cold turkey? And the answer is an emphatic, absolute no. So the next question might be, well, what do I expect? How long is this going to take me? And the answer is 3 to 4 years, depending on how deep you are into the insurance participation pool. Normally, when we look, about half the patients in the practice are insured, half aren't. So if you use that as a rule and you understand what a truly active patient is, then you might see something like as follows. You might see you run your reports out of your practice management software, and you look at the insurance reports and you look for the number of patients on each plan, and you might see plan 1 has 500, plan 2 has 400, plan 3 has 300, plan 2 has plan 4 has 200, and plan 5 has 100. So you go down these plans and you add them up, and you figure out how many patients are on each plan, and you line them up in order of least patients to most patients. That's what I just said was the most important part of this entire podcast. When you do an insurance transition, you start with the insurance plan that provides you the least number of new patients. Okay? So let's say that insurance company, whatever, number 5 is, I don't know, MetLife. Okay. And all your patients, out of your entire patient pool, 100 patients have MetLife. Okay. Now we know what to do. Now we're going to take 5% of our revenues and we're going to apply it to the local market, and we're going to do it properly, and we're going to target it properly. We're going to design and deploy it properly. We're going to track the phone calls properly. We're going to cover the phone calls properly. We're going to discuss, we're going to have discussions with new patients properly. And we are going to focus on replacing those 100 patients now. We're going to attract 100 new patients to this practice, so that when we call MetLife and tell them to stick their MetLife up the wazoo, that we've already taken care of the downside risk. We already brought in 100 new patients to replace the ones that might, emphasis on might, that might leave our practice after we call MetLife and tell them that we no longer want to participate. Okay? That's the key. Always, always, always replace your potential risk prior to making the phone call. Okay? So now, here's a really cool part of insurance transitions, and I've seen this play out, like I said, probably, I'm not going to say hundreds of times, but I'll say over 100 times, right? If you organize your insurance plans by the number of patients in the inverted order, least to most, and you and your team are all part of the plan, you share your plan with your team. You tell them, hey guys, look, we're going to start getting out of all these plans. We're going to work on the one that provides the least number of new patients. We're going to do some marketing and some advertising, and we're going to get those new patients. We're going to replace them before we call and get off the plan. We're going to do that. And our first one is whatever, MetLife, and there's 100 new patients, and we're going to track the new patients each month right next to that column. And when we get to 100, you know what? We're all going to sit here and we're all going to make the call together. We're going to be on we're going to be on a speakerphone, and we're all going to fill out the paperwork, to get out of this plan together. And then we're going to have a cake, and it's going to have candles, and we're going to light it, and we're going to have shots, and it's just going to be a party. Okay. So every time you replace the number of new patients first before you call that insurance company and let them know you're no longer going to participate, it becomes this incredibly empowering team-wide effort. The person who answers your phone is going to be more frosty with new patients to get more new patients in. The person who handles your insurance is just sitting there waiting for the day that they don't have to follow up with the insurance, the overdue insurance and the ridiculous claim denials and the preties that never come back and all that stuff. They're never, they can't wait not to have to do that. They would much rather work one-on-one with your patients. Anyway, your hygienists and everybody in the office is impacted negatively in some way by insurance participation. I mean, even your assistants get asked by patients after the dentist leaves the room. The patients turn right to the assistant. They always say, "What do you think?" I mean, Ask your assistant if you don't believe me. Okay. So even your assistants are tired of answering insurance questions that they don't know the answers to, right? So everybody on the whole team wants to get out of insurance, including you, doctor, but you want to do it from a financial reason. Everybody else wants to do it for their own reason. Regardless, everybody's motivated to get out. Okay. When you have that kind of a situation and you set an insurance transition up the way I'm telling you to set it up, this could be a 3 or 4 year team building exercise that everybody looks back upon and really, looks back upon fondly. It doesn't have to be and shouldn't be a risk, right, Howie? I mean, like in the old days, people were just like, yeah, I got out all my insurance plans last Thursday. Don't know what's going to happen, but I feel really good now.
Yeah. For about
calling back 5 months from now, he's divorced. He's out living in the woods, right? You can't do that.
He's living in a van down by the river.
Exactly.
No, it's a gradual.
It doesn't have to be crazy risk. It can be unbelievably motivating and empowering for everyone involved in the office. Really, it can. Especially if you make a big deal out of it at your monthly team meeting. How close are we to getting our goal? Oh, we only got 18 new patients this month toward 100. Okay. Well, based on that, maybe around February, March, we'll be lighting that cake, right? Or having that party to get MetLife off of our backs, right? Yeah. So it still becomes something the entire team looks forward to on a continued, they're all working, striving toward that team goal every hour, every day. And it can be a wonderful experience for you if you manage it properly.
Absolutely.
I will tell you that it is possible in some U.S. markets, Southern California, Pacific Northwest, monopoly states like Minnesota, Long Island. There are areas of the country where insurance participation, the population, it's just higher. There's a higher population of dental insured than in these areas than there are in other areas. So in those areas, you may never get totally, completely out of participating. But you can knock those 5 down to 1. And just knocking those 5 down to 1 in an average dental practice would add about $130,000 in pure profit back to the doctor at the end of the year. That's in an average practice in an average market. Actually, if you want to look at it beforehand, just go run yourself a production report for all your write-offs, all your insurance write-offs.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and then, don't take them all. Just take 80% of them and just look at that number for a little while. That's your goal.
Yeah. That's also your marketing budget.
Well, it's a hell of a lot more than right. It's actually 5 times what your marketing budget should be, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, but the focus though is on the nuts and bolts of doing the transition correctly. We've witnessed, Howie and I have witnessed way too many dentists doing it the wrong way, going cold turkey, or making these decisions based on emotion. This is not an emotional decision. This is a business decision. There's no emotion tied to it at all. And it doesn't matter. I know dentists sometimes get really emotional when, an insurance company, dentist, inspector, whatever, claims adjuster says you didn't have to use a crown. You could have, you could have done a 93, you could have done a composite or whatever. I know dentists get emotionally involved when the claims adjuster comes back and says stuff like that. But when you do an insurance transition, there's really no emotion. It's all numbers. Replace the patients that you're going to lose max. then call the insurance company. If you do that, you have zero risk and a tremendous upside of bringing your entire team together.
Right.
And that's, now here's a big caveat. Okay. If you're going to do that, the marketing that you do to gain those new patients before you get off of these plans, the marketing that you do has to be to the top half of your local dental market. It cannot be, you can't throw out a bunch of postcards with a bunch of deals and expect those patients to stick in your schedule long term in order to replace the insured patients that you're going to lose. That's not going to happen. You have to promote to the top half of the dental market. If you're new to our podcasts and you don't know what I'm talking about, I think we've done 2 or 3 podcasts now on budgeting, top half of the market, bottom half of the market. We would encourage you to go back and listen to those so that you have that background knowledge. Basically, what you're looking for is you're looking to promote your dental practice to moms who care more about their mouth than an insurance deductible. And there are many ways to do that in every market. You just have to do it right. And that's where you use your marketing dollars. And that's where you get the replacement patients from. So,
right.
Howie?
Yes. I think we've covered this.
I think we hammered it.
Okay.
I think we obliterated it.
Well, to everyone out there listening, thank you for listening, and we're going to be back real soon.
Thanks, everyone.
We hope you've enjoyed our podcast today. You can find more podcasts on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, and iTunes. Also on our websites, dentalwebcontent.com and newpatientsinc.com.